run the Breathe half marathon this morning down at Moraine State Park at the McDaniels boat launch. Dude, I freaking crushed it. I'm kind of proud of myself. If you don't hear me say I'm proud of myself for the performance I put on, but I am today. I finished first overall in an hour, 22 minutes and 52 seconds. I know that's not like a really super impressive half marathon time, and people are gonna be like, oh, whatever. I think it's good for me. Plus the fact that I ran hyner 25K yesterday with 4,300 feet of gain on trails and shit, and to come down and put a 122 down today is impressive. So fuck all you haters. I wasn't expecting it. I was actually coming to do this as a training run today. I'm gonna go do 7 more miles hopefully this afternoon when I get home. So I was just using it as a training run, and not really expecting any kind of solid performance. I was shooting for maybe an hour 40. I would have been happy with an hour and a half. But to put down a 122, I'm just like, are you freaking serious? My pace was, well, my watch said 6:19. The results page said 6:20. So either way, we'll just say, even if it was a 6:20 pace, that's really impressive after having done that yesterday. And I will say this, the first half of the race, my splits were all under like 6:20 and under. The last like 3 or 4 miles were maybe like in the 6:30s, which brought my time up. But other than that, like 8 or 9 miles were under the 6.5 mark, which I wasn't expecting it. I don't think my body was able to really do that. So I am impressed with how things have gone, because my training leading up to this has been kind of shit, to be frank. My pace has been a lot slower in my normal training routes by like 30 seconds to a minute. I've just been taking things a little bit too slow, and having done hyner yesterday, it just blows my mind that I was able to do that 122 52 today. The other honest thing is, I really didn't want to get out of bed this morning. I didn't get much sleep last night, maybe like 4.5 again, which would have been the third day in a row. And I got like, well, under 5 hours the last 3 nights. So I don't know. Plus, not really, just feeling tired. It was cold this morning, to be honest with you, in the 30s on the way. It's only 45 degrees now. It feels actually colder now than it did this morning, maybe because it's a little bit windy. I was unmotivated. On the way down, I was just like, man, I should just turn around and get home, because I'm just tired and I don't really feel like doing a half marathon at the moment. But it got to the point where I was already halfway there, so you might as well just keep driving. Again, if you're gonna just use it as a training run, you just might as well do it and see how things go. Because there's no point in turning around and going home and getting a run in later. There was a little bit of a line at registration. I didn't even get my bib until 13 minutes before the race started. The race started at 9. I didn't get mine till, yeah, like 13 minutes beforehand. I still had to change shoes and grab my headphones and get my hydration ready. So I was definitely behind the 8 ball today. I arrived about 8:30, between 8:30 and 8:35. and I didn't even stretch. Well, I stretched a little bit in the line for registration, but not like jogging anything out or really getting loose or warmed up. So I was expecting kind of a shitty run, and I started like the second or third row back because I was just going to let some of the guys that lined up in the front row just go because they looked like they were going to be fast. So I was just like, don't even try to compete with them or get caught up with that. So I get to the start line. Well, alright, so I wore today because it was cold. My calf sleeves, my smiley mouth socks, compression shorts with shorts over top, my long sleeve only athletics top, took a gaiter for my neck. I wore my visor beanie, my naked belt, and I filled both 9-ounce bottles of Noon caffeinated in it. And I took my beleg mints, but I dropped one right away as we started, and I just kept running with just one. So I ended up taking that one I had off. I was hoping somebody didn't, pick it up and throw it away or whatever, but it was actually laying on the way back when we came through. But as I got to the start line, getting ready, I'm like, oh man, I was like, I have to shit. And it was like 3 minutes before the race started. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. I was like, whatever. So I ran to the bathroom real quick, got it out. Probably one of the quickest pre-race poops in the history. Got to the start line. Luckily, they were like a couple minutes behind starting the race, so I got back. I'm still trying to put my MP3 player on my arm and get my beleg mints on. So I was actually doing that as the race started and as I'm running. That's again to show how far behind I was today. Just getting ready for the race in general. I guess when you're not really motivated to run, you don't really get excited or try to like rush. Even if I rushed, I still would have been behind today, just because all the things happening. But whatever. A couple people took off from the start, and I was just like, we'll let them go, whatever. I don't really care about them. But I hung with them a little bit back. There was two guys. I don't know. I don't think they ever had more than 5-6 seconds on me in front. But I think also, since I was a little bit rushed getting to the start line and getting things ready, I did have a little bit of like an adrenaline boost, so I probably did take off a little bit faster than I was planning on it, just to stay out of the front of the pack in general. But the course is an out and back, so 6.55 out and back around this trail that goes around the lake. Don't tell me exactly what part of the lake. I know it's on like the north shore side of the lake. I don't know exactly. I've never been on this trail. I just know you could see the lake a few times on the way out on the right hand side, so it would be on the left on the way back. The first couple tenths, we'll say maybe half mile, was like a gravel, like not a limestone rail trail gravel, but it was more like a gravel. And not having been on this trail before or the race before, I was just like, oh man, I was like, this is gonna suck, because I was wearing my Endorphin Pro 4s, so I thought they were just gonna get chewed up the entire time, and I was just regretting it. I was like, man, you just spent like $250 on these shoes a couple weeks ago, and they're just gonna get torn up hardcore in this race, and I'll be having them for Pittsburgh in 2 weeks. So just like, But thankfully, after that half mile, it turned into this like asphalt trail, and actually had like a yellow center line for people to stay to the right the whole time. That way people could run and bike it and not have any issues of cross-trafficking each other. So I was happy about that. And the asphalt that this trail was more of a softer asphalt. It wasn't like a hard, solid type asphalt. So it was very runnable, and it didn't hurt your feet. It was like cushiony. At least I thought it was a little cushiony. I don't know if anybody else did or not. So I was definitely happy about that. Yeah, so I passed a few guys that were in front of me. I would say within the first mile. I was just like, oh, we'll see what happens. We'll see how this plays out. We're just going to run the way you're running right now as long as you can. I wasn't mentally trying to push or physically trying to push myself. My body just sort of took over today. It had one of those, this is what we're going to do type days, whether you like it or not. Sometimes those are bad days, and today happened to be one of those good days where your body's just like, yep, just let me take over and handle things, and you just sit back and enjoy the ride. And that's what I did. And every mile that ticked off, I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? How the hell am I still running at this pace right now? I was like, all right, so when's this crash gonna come? And it really never did. I think a lot of it had to do with the course itself. It was very rolling hillish. And these are like little dinky type hills, like 10 feet here, 20 feet there, maybe like a 40-foot like rolling hill here. And they weren't like necessarily rolling, they were like gradual. I don't know, it's hard to explain. I guess some of them were like rolling and some were more gradual. But you never really did get tired, or my legs never really got tired, because they kept recovering. Anytime we went up like a little bit of an incline, I was going right back down. So I was using the muscles, switching back and forth in between the flats. So it was a constant change of muscles where they never got into the state where they were stressing themselves, which was awesome. It was like a course built specifically for me. At least that's how I felt, because I love those type of courses, and I do super well on those type of courses all the time. And there was a lot of bit of weave action. It was never like a straight line either. It was like long weaving in and out. Sometimes you'd weave right back way past where you just were. So you had actually, even though it wasn't a straight line necessarily, but you could see and look back a bunch of times to see your competition behind you and judge, which is kind of cool. I don't know, I just really like the course. Never been on it. I mean, it's kind of sucky that it's an out and back, but I didn't mind it because with the rolling hills and like the curviness, it wasn't mentally taxing on me, because even on the way back it was like a completely different feel from the way out. So that was awesome. And I know I just kept gapping from there after I passed. At turnaround I had, alright, so I passed him, or no, I didn't pass him. I hit the turnaround at 40 minutes and 13 seconds on my watch, and I passed second place, the guy who was wearing like a blue shirt, at 40:55. So 42-ish seconds times 2. So a minute 24. Yeah, a minute 24 is what I had at the turnaround. I was kind of hoping for a 2+ minute, so I could relax a little bit. I was hoping to do like 8s on the way back. I figured if I had like a 2-minute lead, I could do 8 minutes on the way back and win the race. At least that was the mindset I was thinking. It probably wouldn't have played out that way, because if I did 8s on the way back, looking at the results, probably would have caught me, because he only finished 3 minutes behind me in like 1:25 something. So I probably wouldn't have been safe, but I would have had the energy to throw it down a little bit if I needed to. So that was sort of my thinking. So like I said before already, I was, thinking I was going to do like a 140, and just the time that was ticking off like per mile, like each mile, being in the low 6s. I'm like, oh, all right, whatever. So when that wall came, I was like, all right, you still have plenty of time to play with to hit that 140 mark. Went at the turnaround again. I was 40 minutes, 13 seconds. And I was like, well, all right. So that's like right now, whatever, an hour 26. So obviously I did drop like 2 minute on the way back, but whatever. I do feel the way back was a little bit harder. Like the incline was more, I felt the incline more on the way back than I did on the way out. That's probably also why I ran faster. Definitely a lot faster on the first half of the race in those low 6s instead of the 6:30s those last couple miles, because the incline definitely felt harder. Not because my legs got tired, just in general, it just felt harder. And as soon as we would drop back down into like a little decline, I was back into those low 6s, or even like into the 5s a couple of times on my watch. So it was definitely the inclines on the way back. Trying to think here. But yeah, I felt really good, and I never really had that feeling where I was burning up or falling off. I did slow down a little bit on the way back because I took a couple drinks of my hydration, which slowed me down getting it out or whatever. So that probably cost me 15 to 30 seconds on the way back just taking drinks, because I think I took drinks 4 times on the way back, 3 or 4 times on the way back. I only drank once on the way out. I didn't take anything at the 3 water stops, because the one you pass twice. First one's like a mile 55 for the 5K turnaround. You don't see another one until the 655 turnaround. That's why I took hydration today, because I figured it was kind of far spaced out, especially if I needed it. So I just figured to take some with me, which was definitely the smarter move. Plus the caffeine probably helped me a lot. Being caffeinated kept me motivated, actually probably running faster as well. But yeah, I just kept going on the way back. I did have to stop for like 2 or 3 seconds, and I lost all momentum. I don't even know what mile it was. Maybe it's 10. We're just gonna call it 10, because I was watching, there was a raccoon that came across the road, not the trail, but there was a road above the trail at the time. There was a car coming. I saw the raccoon come down off the road, and in between the road and the trail. And then I got closer, it came on the trail, and I'm like, all right, buddy, what are you gonna do? So I stopped, lost all momentum there for a second or two to see what he was gonna do. I didn't want him to attack me, and he was all wet, so I was just kind of curious to see how that was gonna play out. But thankfully he wanted nothing to do with me and got off the trail. I mean, he looked at me, but he got right off the trail. So then I had to restart up. So that did cost me my momentum. And a couple of seconds there. kind of did want to slow down on the way back, but I also didn't want to get beat, so I made sure to like not to throw down a hammer, but like to keep and maintain the hammer that I was putting down. And since I felt like in a groove anyhow, and I stayed within that groove, I didn't necessarily have to change anything up on the way back. But the two bigger inclines on the way back did suck. My legs did start to burn a little bit, where I just felt, well, I didn't know if they burnt, but did feel a little bit more pressure in my legs on the two bigger inclines. And one other thing, on the way out, I was having some fun. Sort of running, I probably had a runner's high that first half of the race as well. Turnaround did probably take that runner's high away from me, just because I had to slow down to get around it, because it was just around the cone, so that slowing down momentum did cost me on runner's high. But on the way out, the whole race I was running the tangents. I was taking them out, so I was going from left-hand side to right-hand side, running down the middle of the trail, not really following that yellow line the whole time, being a smart racer by doing that, like taking the tangents out. And as I saw them coming, I knew to run that straight line. But some of the curves and stuff, like I was actually like on the edge of the curve, and for some reason, well, the trail curve, whatever you want to call it, actually felt like I was getting like a boost. Like it felt more springy on that edge as I was running, like especially around a curve. It just felt like I was getting like a nice like bounce reaction. I don't know if it was my shoes getting that nice little spring action or what, but it was kind of weird that, you know, it just felt like I was getting more propulsion running on that edge. Like, yeah, my shoe is just basically, if you, I don't know how to describe it, but like the center of my shoe was like stepping on that edge, and like the left and right hand side of the shoe itself wasn't really necessarily touching. It was just down the center, getting that spring action. So I don't know, we'll have to try that again another day with these Endorphin Pro 4s, because it might be one of those little tips or tricks that I figure out, give me an edge at some other races. So when I did figure that out on the way out, I used it the rest of the race. That was probably like mile 2 into it is when I noticed that. It might have just been like a whip effect as well, just going around the corners faster. But whatever. So my body had to lean if I was using that edge, whereas if I stayed more on the trail, like flat-footed, I was going to exert more energy, which would have slowed me down. So it could have been that as well. And I know there was a family there taping their kid, well, their son or whatever, and they were jumping back and forth during the whole race. And I thought it was like the guy, I thought they were filming the guy in second place. Here it was like the 4th place guy. So I would see them coming like down a hill or just like pulling in. I'm like, all right, so now we're, we gapped him a little bit more now that he's gaining on me, because depending on like how they came to see him, and I saw them like 8 times during the race, so I was sort of using them as a judge what was going on behind me. But found out later again it was the 4th place guy they were videoing, not second. So glad I didn't rely on that and pull back at all, or else that would have cost me as well. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm very proud of the performance I put on today. If you would have asked me last night, this morning, if I could have did that, I would have said, hell no. If you would have told me I was going to do that, I would have thought you were full of shit. So it's definitely a shocker. I'm glad it happened. I'm glad I did it. I'm very proud of myself. It gives me a lot more confidence. And I needed that confidence boost going into Pittsburgh in 2 weeks, the marathon. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to run Pittsburgh as well as I ran today, which I probably won't because I don't get that kind of runner's high that often. But let's just say, okay, so that 122 times 2 for a marathon, that's 144. So that gives me a 25-minute cushion to Boston qualify. So it was just one of those little mental things today. And if I could even put down like a 125 first half for a Pittsburgh marathon, I think that would set me up pretty well. And I think that's what I'm going to shoot for now for Pittsburgh is a 125. To set myself up pretty good to be under the Boston qualifying time. But we'll see how things go and how things change. I definitely got a real boost of self-esteem today. And again, I'm so proud of myself what I did after running hyner yesterday. Probably could have broke 120 if I actually threw down a hammer. I don't know how my body reacted if I tried to do that. Like, I wouldn't have tried to do that in the first half of the race, but like the second half, with that time I had, if I would have, said, hey, we're going to try to like negative split this, I want to know what the body would have done. I am kind of curious about that, but that's just hindsight. I don't know. Just things fell into place today. Had a ham barbecue, some pierogies, pasta salad after the race that they had. I'm gonna drink a Fit Aid. And then like 10 minutes later, destroyed the bathroom at Moraine State Park. Now I'm headed home. So, to all the haters out there, fuck you. I did hyner yesterday, and then I came and did a half marathon. I put down an awesome time and won. So screw you. And to those that say I didn't yesterday hold back and not push, yeah, some people thinking that I pushed yesterday and didn't hold back. Well, if I pushed yesterday, there's no way in hell I would have dropped the 122 today. So take that into consideration when you talk your bullshit. Yeah, so fuck off.